Hello, and welcome to another day of English 2. I'm your online facilitator, Miss Abear. As a reminder, we are working on a personal narrative unit. Yesterday, we finished reading Safety of Numbers by Amy Tan. Today, we're going to look at how to determine a theme. But before we get too far in, I told you I would remind you about our unit and some of the things that we are looking at, our essential question, as well as our mid-unit task. So our essential question for this unit is, what experiences lead us from childhood into adulthood? And I hope that when we were reading Amy Tan's short story, that you were able to kind of get some ideas of how her experiences led her from childhood into adulthood. And so at the midterm of this unit, we're going to be writing a personal narrative. And your personal narrative will describe an experience that has been part of your transition out of childhood. When deciding on a moment to write about, you're going to consider the following ideas: a loss that you experienced, a realization or difficult truth that you learned, a new responsibility that you had to take on, or a risk that you decided to take. So that is kind of the overarching idea that we are reading about and trying to answer those questions so that you can have a grasp of what you will write about, what that will look like, as well as the end of the unit when you write that argument. So today we're going to look at what is a theme. So a theme is a universal message in a story, poem, or text. The theme must be a complete thought or message. It's never just one word. So when you're writing a theme statement, you would use words like people to make the message more universal. Never use character names or describe the plot, because that's not going to be a universal idea. So let's look at an example of a theme statement. One theme in The Wizard of Oz is that home is more important to people than they often realize. Again, we're looking at this idea that themes must be a complete thought or message. And you know, a complete thought is a complete sentence, right? And so you look at home is more important than people often realize. That is a complete sentence and a complete thought without one theme in The Wizard of Oz, right? So you have a complete sentence in home is more important to people than they often realize. So let's look at this and this idea of theme, and let's break this sentence down a little bit more. So themes must be a complete thought or message, never just one word. And then also you have down here, themes use words like people to make the message universal. They never use character names or describe the plot. So make sure that when you are writing your theme that you include that entire thought, not just a partial thought. Now you're going to practice independently. And I want you to see at the top of this slide, I have reminded you of those signposts that we read or that we learned in Unit 1. Make sure that beyond this CommonLit unit that you are also considering those signposts. Also, in the CommonLit resources available to your teacher, there are some anchor charts that he or she can print that will look like this. It will have the same thing that we did, what is a theme, and it will give basically the slide that we just looked at, but it also has some ideas, these big ideas in literature: courage, prejudice, differences, challenges, failure, and so many more. Those big ideas turn into themes. And so you want to think about those as you are practicing today in your independent practice. So you should have a packet for developing a theme. The things that we just went over are on the front of that packet. And then you're going to work through page 1 and 2. You will define theme, and you will review the statements about the Wizard of Oz on the student reference sheet, and you're going to write down those 2 things to remember when writing those theme statements. And those are the things that we just went over, that it has to be a complete message, and it uses the word people instead of character names or plots. Then you're going to review the section titled How Do You Determine Theme? and just follow those steps. And then on page 2, there are some ideas that will move you along to developing a theme to Amy Tan's Safety of Numbers. So that's all that we have for today. Once you complete that independent practice for Determine a Theme, your teacher may have you working on some vocabulary exercises to make sure that you are developing those. And just a little heads up, there is a quiz that's going to be coming on vocabulary. So I expect you to be studying those vocabulary terms and really getting a grasp for what they are. So until next time, I hope that you have a great day and happy reading.